Hello and welcome to another review for The Last of Us. Today we are going to be answering such burning questions as: does communism really work? Are there any infected actually out there anywhere? And can you build a working horse out of snow? To find out these answers to these questions and more, stay tuned to watch the video all the way through the end of the video. But until then, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Here we go. Okay, so first things first, still loving this show. Still the best thing on TV at the moment by a long margin. Okay, but the inevitable has happened, and certain things or certain cracks are starting to form. It's just certain decisions that are getting made, which is making me a little bit nervous for the last few episodes. This is probably is definitely the weakest episode of them all, the season so far for me. Far too much reliance on. There's not enough time spent on anything. Everything in this episode feels rushed. Everything feels rushed and unearned. We start off with just a quick 10-second recap of the last episode with Henry killing himself. We then star wipe to 3 months later. Okay, 3 months have passed. Now I get it that he has to walk. He's walking across a country, right? So it's going to take a very long time. But this 3 months has just passed. Okay, and we get no indication of what's happened between them leaving Kansas and to where they are now. 3 months. It's just done. It's like, gone. Don't. We don't have to think about it. We don't have to tell you what's happened. Just make it up in your mind. It's like, I want you to tell me at least give me some indication of what might have happened. Clearly, this is the time where their bond has become really strong. So we leave Kansas with Ellie emotionally shaken and like damaged from the events that's happened in Kansas. To 3 months later, and there's no real resolution or payoff on that ending. We get a little line later on about how Ellie tried to save Sam, but she couldn't, and that was it. And that's kind of it. I mean, we may get more in the future, and this is the thing that's now starting to worry me. We're running out of time. You've got 3 episodes left, maybe after this one. One of those episodes is a flashback. The next episode is a flashback episode to Ellie's kind of origin, or where she got bit. It's based on the Left Behind DLC, so I suspect that whole the cliffhanger that's left at the end of this episode is going to remain a cliffhanger until the end of the next episode, and we're going to go back in time to see Ellie's story. Now, I'm not against that. I think that is fine. That will work quite well, but it means that the last 2 episodes are going to have to cover so much, and it's going to be something like this episode whereby they just appear places. Things just happen. We don't get any explanation for what's going on. It's just, I hate writing like that. It's like, and I understand. Well, I mean, I don't understand why it couldn't have been more episodes. This, doing what they've done now, makes things like episode 3, Frank and Bill, which is still probably the best episode of the season. So it seems like a strange complaint, but it makes the Frank and Bill episode. It makes me dislike that episode being in the series, because it's taken away an hour's worth of storytelling time, which is now just getting fast forwarded. There's a scene which has been missed out of the series, and it's one of the most iconic scenes in the game. It's when Ellie and Joel are going through the city and they stumble across wild giraffes. And it's if you look at any post, if you Google any image search for The Last of Us, that image of them staring at the giraffes is probably one of the top ones that come up, and that's just not there anymore. That's gone. We've missed that bit, and it's a very small scene, but it adds so much to their character. It's probably one of the first times that Joel looks at Ellie like a surrogate child, because she's so in awe of these magical beasts. It's getting cut. So this episode, yes, it definitely was the weakest. A couple of things were just straight up straight up wrong and bad. And I'm probably harsher on it here because I know it can be done they have done it so well in the past. But there's a couple of things which just irritated me. Joel and Ellie are told that they're these people that they're looking for. You meet this couple in a log cabin in the middle of nowhere, right? And they tell them that there's nobody out here, but there's everything past the river is death. There's worse things than death past the river. Yeah, so never go across there. So there's people out there, and infected, which there isn't because there's no infected. But I'll come on to that in a minute. But anyway, they say go out there to this river of death. They call it the river of death. Everything beyond that is dangerous. I'm like, okay, right, we're going to get something. So then we wander out in the wilderness. We get a good scene between Ellie and Joel, but it feels like their characters and their relationship has changed in the time that we haven't seen them. So there's this whole period of time, 3 months period of time, which is missing. We don't get to see it, and that's the stuff I want to see. They're developing characters together. But anyway, then we get to what could be a river, the river of death, but there's nothing there. They've not encountered anything. There's no infected. There's no people. From the time we've left Kansas City to right now, we've not met any infected, as far as we can tell. But again, they could have met loads of infected during that 3 month time. This is never mentioned, but there's no infected here. So, and there's always this excuse: oh, the infected don't come out this far. So the infected don't go near the city, and they don't come out into the wilderness. Where are the infected? They're just not anywhere. That's the show it's a show about infected creatures, zombies. Let's call them zombies, right? It's a show about zombies, but there's no zombies. Granted, the zombies are just a backdrop. The apocalypse is just a backdrop to the main story, which is this road trip and bonding between a father and daughter story, right? The zombies are a background, but you still have to have them. They still need to be there. Yeah. Anyway, we're told past the river is a river of death, but there's literally nothing there. They get surrounded by these people on horses, and you think, oh, okay, this is great, right? Something's going to happen here. The people on horses typically, hold them at gunpoint. Joel is, super nervous. There's a dog there which can apparently smell infected. Goes in, sniffs around. Joel, no infection, and then goes and then so he's getting good. So it's okay. Let's go ahead. He says, "Do her next." So the dog goes and sniffs. Everyone's getting super nervous, and the dog doesn't smell anything, and he reacts normally. So which I don't understand, because we know Ellie is infected. She has the spores. She just doesn't get sick from them. So she has the cordyceps or something. She has them, and she's been bitten, but it doesn't spread and she doesn't get infected. So the dog should have smelt the stuff on her. Also, we know that when you're bitten, you turn within a few hours, like really quickly. And this is wilderness for miles and miles and miles. So this patrol should know that there's probably no infected in the immediate area, because they can look around and see there is nothing there. So I don't know why they're suspicious that they might be sick. I mean, they're probably suspicious of everyone. Okay, you can let them away with that. This is suspicious of everyone. But they agree that they're not infected, so they bring them back to their base. And this is where the first really annoying thing happened. They turn up on horses. They clearly have no spare horses. There is no spare horses in that pack. I checked. I've gone back and looked. There's no spare horses. But Ellie and Joel managed to get a horse for themselves. They give Ellie and Joel a horse for themselves, and they all ride back to this Jackson place. Where did the horses come from? I mean, they don't even make an attempt to excuse why they would have spare horses. Even Lord of the Rings, they made when the Rohirrim find the Fellowship, they say, "Oh, we've lost a couple of riders due to a raiding party. You can have their horses when we go back." A simple line like that would have made it this believable. We were out on a scouting party and we lost 2 to infected. Great, so now you know there are infected around, which could mean that Ellie and Joel could have been bitten and infected. Already solves that problem. And you've got the problem of saying, well, they've got spare horses, and it's a resource limited society, so they're not going to leave the horses or abandon the horses in any way. They're definitely going to take them with them. Bang! Joel and Ellie have a horse now. Okay, great. The next inconsistency is we're just to believe that Ellie can ride a horse at gallop without any training. Like, it's not, riding a horse isn't that easy. You know, you do need to know how to do it. You can't just jump on a horse and expect it to follow you. They're not even like they're leading the horses. Joel and Ellie have control of their own horse. They are in control of this horse. And like, they're big horses, and Ellie's not a big person. Like, that horse could have easily overpowered her. There's just no. They're just expecting you to believe things now without telling you why they might be happening. And I don't like that. I don't want that. This is not the show that's been doing that up until now. You've had logical explanations for everything. Yeah. But now they just seem to be abandoning all that. And in favour of, well, we need to hit certain story points, and we have to do it within a certain time. This is Game of Thrones last season level of, like, annoyance. Or it could easily get to that. Nothing is as bad as Game of Thrones last season of Game of Thrones. That's an unfair comparison. But it's a similar idea. Like, they have to hit certain story tent poles, and they're just going to get to that as quick as possible, with nothing in between. Like, they're in Jackson. Joel's reunited with his brother. And within seconds, we're on to. They do a small introduction. Within seconds, they're on to the next dramatization or next forced conflict in order to progress the story. Like, they don't like nothing in this episode is given time to rest or settle. It's just moving, boom, 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 like quick. And yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed the episode. It was still good. Everything, and the things I'm nitpicking are nitpicking. They are nitpicks, because the show is so good that I'm pointing out small, minor flaws and details, because I know it can be done. They can do it so well. So that's just, these little things just annoy me, rather than they're being full on, like, me hating them. So, but you can see, but another thing is they add in certain elements to the show. Like, they've given Joel is now a contract, gotten some sort of anxiety or panic attacks, which I could totally believe happening, but it doesn't fit really with his character, the character they've built up for him so far. It just feels like a lot has happened in this 3-month period between them leaving Kansas City and now that I want to see. I would rather have had that than the episode of Bill and Frank, which, again, I must reiterate that Bill and Frank's episode is stupendous. One of the best shot, acted, and written episodes of TV I've ever seen. But it's meant we've had to sacrifice story from the characters I've become invested in. Bill and Frank are gone. We're never seeing them again. We never saw them before. We're never seeing them again. They're done. They're throwaway characters now. So, but that's meant that we've lost time with Joel and Ellie. That could have been spent building their relationship. Or even time with Joel and Tommy. We could get more Tommy screen time. But no, again, Tommy, eventually Joel says, I'm not going to take you because I'm a liability to you. Doesn't make any sense, I don't think. That part of his character hasn't been earned. Again, that could be explained in the missing 3-month period, but it just doesn't feel like it's earned here. He's like, he would do whatever he could. I don't think he would trust even his brother to take Ellie on this mission. So inevitably, Tommy doesn't go on. Joel changes his mind. Lets Ellie choose who she's going to bring with him. Naturally, she's going to choose Joel. She's only known Tommy for 3 hours. You know, she's got huge abandonment issues, so she would definitely choose Joel. Anyway, we time skip again, basically through this completely uninfected area. Like there's not an infected person for hundreds of miles. Like they're just nowhere. Where are the infected? They're just not anywhere. There's no people. There's nothing. I know it's a post-apocalyptic world, but there has to be something, right? Otherwise, what are people hiding from? Because it doesn't appear like there's infected anywhere. Like they go to the town of Jackson, similar to Bill and Frank's place, is well out of the way of anyone apparently, so the infected don't come that far. Well, where are they going? They're not in the cities. They're not like, well, they were in the city. They were underneath the city, but yeah, it doesn't really make much sense. Then we again just jump from straight into the Colorado University portion of the story, and yeah, you get a cool little nod. The monkeys are running around, and it's totally empty. And then you're in there, and people come, and you get attacked. Again, I didn't feel like those 4 guys played much of a threat. They could have done a lot more of the sort of stealthy areas of the game, where you're sneaking around, with Joel sneaking around, trying not to get caught by this group that have come into the hospital. No explanation as to why they know Joel and Ellie are in the hospital, in the university. They just appear. There's 4 of them with baseball bats. I mean, they could easily have evaded them, and I mean they pretty much do until we get to the end where, like, Joel's fighting with one of them, gets wounded, and they ride off. And that is pretty much bang on with the game. You know, it's that's it. Joel's injured, and then, you know, presumably the next episode is dealing with the aftermath of that. But it was just the whole. The one word I would use for this episode is rushed. It's rushed. They've clearly looked at the amount of available time they've got left, how many episodes they've got left, and they've thought, well, we can cut this bit, we can cut that bit, just get them here, get them there, get him there, get to this point as quick as possible, and don't worry about really explaining why. Just get them there as soon as possible. And this show is better than that. This show is better than that. Now, you may think that I'm a downer on this episode, but I'm not, really. It's still an 8. It's still an 8 out of 10. This show on a bad day is still far better than quite a lot of shows at their best. I'm looking at you, Picard. Yeah. So, this show is still, like, a bad episode of this show is still really good. And this is still a really good episode. The acting, brilliant. The set design, brilliant. The costume design, brilliant. The writing, the music, everything is just on. The writing's on point 90% of the time, but the rest of the time it's not so good. But everything else is on point pretty much all the time. So I can't take anything away from the episode of the show. It's just there's a few things you just have to do better. Yeah. So there's my little rant about this episode over with. I still thoroughly recommend going to see this, even if you're not a fan of the post-apocalyptic zombie show. Don't worry, there are none, so you don't have to worry about it. And at this point we are in the story. There's probably not going to be any more. There's probably not going to be any more. At this point in the story, the infected are much less of an issue than people. So we'll see how that plays out. They're going to have to bring the infected back for one last big showpiece set, I imagine. Another horde moment. Yeah. How that plays out, we'll see. But until next time, keep watching me. Keep watching the show. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me your thoughts, and tell me what you'd like to see or how you think this episode should have been done, or if it could have been done better. Until then,